Third Wheel Podcast, welcome back. Happy New Year. Happy everything. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, happy Kwanzaa.
And Hanukkah.
Hanukkah. Wow. Yeah, I don't know anyone that celebrates Hanukkah. Do you?
I did once.
Okay. Oh, I'm Caleb, by the way. And this is Shaps.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Outed myself.
I thought you were going to say it, but that's fine. I got this.
Okay.
Hold on. Hanukkah, you celebrated?
Once, yeah.
Well, okay.
I mean, like...
What do you do in Hanukkah? I don't know anything about it.
I was super young. So it
I
was
think
like...
you say
it was
super drunk.
no, I was like...
Okay.
I mean, I was like really young, so I don't remember anything about it. But it's like 7 days of gifts, basically. Every night you light a menorah, or a candle on the menorah, you know, like you play dreidel dreidel. Yeah, I don't remember much about it.
Okay. How old were you again?
I don't know. I could have been like 3 or 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was like...
anything.
It was crazy young.
I
But
don't remember that much either back then.
my dad grew up Jewish, so he like wanted to try it one year, but... Yeah.
And then he was like, F that.
Honestly,
I guess he didn't like it.
Honestly,
'Cause
yeah.
he
Well,
stopped.
when he was like 13, he had to do his like prayer, his bar mitzvah and everything. He was like, "Yeah, I'm just not feeling. I don't care about this religion."
Yeah. I was going to say, unrelated, I got a really cool gift from a coworker, and it's a mug. It says, "Be careful or you'll end up in my podcast." It's true. You know who you are. But also, I got an interesting story, and then it ties in perfectly with the mug because it's true. If you're not careful.
But on the flip side of that, we do have high standards.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, we don't talk about anything. Okay, look, if you just inconvenienced me once, you're not important enough to
You're
be
grass,
on here.
dude. You're
Yeah,
grass.
sorry. I mow you once a week. That's also a lie. My lawn is so overgrown.
Your story.
Yeah. I was at Sam's Club. It sounds like I'm laying down a foundation for a joke, but I'm not. Like, legit.
I go to Sam.
Yeah, right. I'm at Sam's Club. I've always wondered. So sometimes when you're walking out, you hear the ding and they wave you like you're good. Other times they scan your receipt.
Yeah.
Then they'll scan like 3 random items to make sure it lines up. Right. I always wondered, how do they catch thieves? Okay. And one time this past week, I forgot to scan the oregano. It was just like this tiny bottle of oregano.
Yeah.
That I was taking home so my wife can make pasta. As I'm walking out, I don't hear the ding as I'm trying to leave.
Yeah.
After I paid, I got my receipt ready, and he just looks at me, and he goes straight for the oregano bottle that I missed. And I was like, how did he find that? He didn't scan anything? How did he know?
This guy looks like he would steal oregano.
And I just don't know how their system works. Now, I did see on his scanner, he showed me a picture. There's an overhead camera that looks at the cart, and you can see everything.
Wow.
Okay, I didn't know that. But how did he just know the oregano wasn't paid for?
So they took him to the Sam's corner and they started beating the crap out of you.
And what I also realized, he threatened me. He lifted up half of a stack of tires, and there was a body there. Just
Yeah.
And so he's like, "You're next if you do that again." So
looks like your pasta will have no oregano.
Yeah. So I had to, in shame, go back and pay for the oregano, like I'm a petty common thief, right?
If you're going to Sam's Club, if you're already paying for Sam's Club, it's like,
yeah. Why should I pay for my groceries? I already paid to shop here.
I do. I mean, like, is this like, is this the first world part of me when I'm like, I feel a little bit of joy when I show them my special VIP pass and I'm allowed.
You have a VIP pass?
Well,
or
like
you just mean the membership?
The membership.
Okay, I'm about to say, like, wow.
Well, feels like.
Yeah, you got Sam's Club Plus, dude.
Let's go.
Yeah, all right.
Let's go.
There's a cult. There's the cult of Costco.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen the videos about it.
But there's no cult of Sam's Club for some reason.
Because Sam's is a ripoff.
Really? So Sam, I thought Sam's was first.
No, Costco was first, I think.
Okay. I also think Costco probably is better, but
Sam's is right down the street from me.
Exactly.
So, like...
I don't know the nearest Costco. If there was one there's one across the street from me, and so I just go there, and
Sam's
it's great.
pizza is really good. I like the pizza, but I got it for the gas. Like the only thing I got there is and it's like significant.
Well,
it pays for itself so quickly.
It does. Just the gas, but I mean the bulk items, you can buy everything in bulk for better. So like now we shop there seriously. Like you get 4 dozen eggs for cheaper instead of 1 dozen eggs for not cheaper. So we do that. We'll just get the big thing of turkey bacon there. So like we're good for a few weeks. So yeah, just depends. But really, really great, really solid. Yeah. So anyway, That's my Sam's Club thing. I don't know how they do it, but I know they got the overhead camera, but how did he know without scanning anything? How did he know to reach right for the oregano? You know,
he got Gina Carano come out again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shake you. All the oregano falls out.
You know, do you know Sasquatch soap? You ever see that?
Dr. Squatch.
Dr. Squatch. Thank you. You know, they got Sydney Sweeney now as their spokesperson.
Dude, okay.
Man, that just ain't fair.
So I drink you know what Bai water is?
Mm-mm.
It's that coconut water.
Okay.
Well, they make one with like kiwi and strawberry or something, and her face is on it. And literally, I feel so ashamed. I actually scratch it off before I drink it because I'm just like,
It's too tempting.
yeah. Too tempting.
I think she's my favorite celebrity.
I don't
working
want
right
to
now.
simp for that person. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that like of all the people, like it's too
Why not
easy.
her?
It's too easy to simp for because like she's already that, you know, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like that's her whole gimmick, right?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, she just showed up out of nowhere. Like she was not that person a year
I know.
ago.
Yeah, exactly.
She just showed up,
But now
and now
she is
sudden-
just like the sex object,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
mean to call her that. I'm just saying like that's
Yeah.
what it seems like.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, no, I like to simp over people who are a little bit more reserved, you know, who like you wouldn't expect. So yeah,
You like you like someone that not everyone else is chasing after.
Exactly.
Yeah. You want a little bit of privacy with your simping.
I don't like the way you worded that, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if you post her face on everything, it just feels like it's cheapened, you know.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I don't know where she came from because
She came from that show.
Yeah. But I don't know though.
Euphoria,
It didn't
whatever.
Euphoria. It didn't make her what she is now though.
I mean, I think that's where she got famous because she was like, I think she showed her body off on that one, and everyone's like, oh wow. So
I feel like though. I think everyone went back and said, "Oh, she's in Euphoria and she gets naked in Euphoria."
you think so?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure where
I thought she got famous off Euphoria, and then
Maybe.
like that's when she became like.
I say it shows how much I know. I don't watch Euphoria.
Yeah, me neither.
So yeah, it's not a show I'd ever be interested in. But
Yeah,
yeah. Hey,
it's
whatever.
funny. It's just funny how she's everywhere now.
I know. I mean, I liked her before she was everywhere, but that's just me.
If she's the new like Megan Fox, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I guess
Of
for a
our-
while with Transformers, everyone was after
Of
Megan
our time,
Fox.
Megan
Yeah.
Fox was that person.
Well, it's still our time because we're at peak right now, and now it's Sydney Sweeney. So
fair enough.
yeah,
Fair enough.
I was like, I might buy Dr. Squatch now. So anyway, yeah, I'm not a bar of soap kind of guy.
Me
you know,
neither. I mean, like I know it's probably they talk about all the health benefits of like going more natural or something, but I guess I'm just not thinking about that when I'm grabbing and going.
Mhm.
And I see what's 99 cents. I see what's 49 cents. Let's go.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sydney Sweeney. Heck yeah, bro.
She's on this bar of Dr. Yeti, Mr. Yeti. Yeah. Beware of false prophets.
All right. I do have.
Speaking of Sony, you know, because she was in Madam Web. You know what I mean? Sydney
She
Sweeney.
was?
Yeah,
Oh.
and of
Shows what I
course
know.
she's not hot in that at all. Because they tried to make her look 15, but she's clearly 35. So they don't show off anything at all, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, she's in Madam Web, which today we're going to talk about Kraven the Hunter.
Yes.
We were going to watch it together, me and Shaps.
We did
but
try. We
yeah,
actually did
something came up, but I watched it with some other friends of mine.
And I watched Sonic the Hedgehog instead.
Yeah, Sonic. I'm sorry, not Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic 3.
Sonic 3 the Hedgehog.
Electric Boogaloo.
We have to listen, man. I need to talk about because I actually did see it. I saw it last night. I should say.
Okay.
I do want to talk about it just a little bit later, but
Well, I'm up for that.
it's really good.
There's no way we can talk about Madam Web for an hour.
Yeah.
Everyone's done it. Okay, before we get to that, I had a thought the other day.
Mm-hmm.
You know how people used to review, and they still do, but they used to review like the classic movies.
Yeah.
Has that died down?
The classic movies.
Yeah, like people used to go back. Oh, we're gonna talk about Terminator franchise, and they go from the first one. Like people like Nostalgia Critic.
He still does.
He
that.
does, but like everyone used to do it,
Mm.
and I think that's kind of died down because I think everything's been said about stuff like that.
I think
now.
that's what makes him interesting because he tries to find new things to say about. So he'll acknowledge that that's what the case is,
Yeah.
but then he'll say like, "What's some new things we can find?"
Mhm.
But yeah, I guess so.
So
But also,
you still
people
like Nostalgia Critic? You
still
like
watch him. Yeah.
Okay, I don't. Not since hashtag changed the channel. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Are you on his side? Do you just not
No,
care?
we talked about this before. I think he was just a really poor, I don't know what's going on manager, and he let very, very evil people run that company.
Yeah.
So,
but they're still there, aren't they?
no.
Okay, do you clean house? Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
But again, like I think he was just oblivious to everything
say-
and gave control to like very like just.
But
Nazi
but
people.
according to some people that he knew what was going on, you know, and he just didn't do anything about it. He never addressed it, never acknowledged it. That's why I was like, they probably still work there, you
I'm
know.
just like, I mean, like the receipts though. I never saw receipts on like on him.
That's fair.
I saw it on like the other people, but like
Yeah.
texts and stuff. But
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, that's fair. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
what was I saying?
You were saying something about we're talking about Madam Web or Sony.
I wasn't. Oof. Great. I was on a track.
Oh no. We were talking about do people still review the old movies? And you said Nostalgia Critic still tries to find ways to make it interesting.
Sorry. Yeah. That's what I was trying to say.
Sorry.
What I was trying to say was, everyone to an extent loves talking about the things they love.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
They don't even care if like you're talking critically about it. They just want to hear and watch people love the things that you love. So I don't think that actually can die out. I think like if someone is like, oh, I just watched this movie for the first time, like people are like, oh, or I will play this game for the first time, and they're like, oh my god, I need to know what you experience. It has to be the exact same experience that I experienced, you know, like.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who are like, well, I'm the one person who didn't like it, you know. It's like, oh, we need to hate on them. Like, it gets people riled up.
Yeah.
I don't think people are like, oh, I've heard a million things about this movie. Like,
Yeah.
if someone wants to talk about The Thing, I'm gonna watch. You know, like,
for
or
sure.
if someone wants to talk about, for me, like Truman Show, I'm like, yeah, I want to freaking do that. Let's watch
I
it.
say, you know what's in so shows like Kill Count. You ever watch that?
Oh yeah,
Well, so the new Nosferatu's coming out, so he went back and reviewed the old Nosferatu. So it's
I
like,
need
you
to
know,
see that, yeah.
he's still doing okay. Whenever a remake is coming out or a part 2, then creators will go back to part 1 or the original.
he
and do that.
also Dead Meat also like goes really in depth with like the history. I think that's what intrigues me about it. The history of the production and like the story, and like he doesn't just gush over the movie and that's it. I think he would like that would be very boring, right?
Right.
He actually goes really in depth with all these films. So that's why he's pretty big. But
Yeah. I think what's in now, at least in the circle of creators I watch, is C movies, like the rip-offs. Somebody like Steven Seagal, like he's in right now. Everyone's going back and watching his catalog of just C movies he signs up for, you know.
That's funny. Did you ever see that when he was on SNL?
Yes, I've seen. I didn't watch that episode.
I finally watched it for the first time.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's bad, right?
Because they paired him up with that really funny guy.
David Spade
No.
or Spader, whatever.
They paired him up with Chris Farley,
Chris Farley. Okay,
who's like,
I was close.
who was comedic genius, right?
Yeah.
But like, and if you read the comments, it's like, how can you make Chris Farley not funny?
Yeah,
It's not like
because
Chris
he's
Farley's
hilarious.
yeah, he can make anything funny except Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
Because Steven Seagal, I read up the history of like the entire episode of how there's like a bunch of people who are cast members who are saying like how he just didn't want to be funny. Like he didn't want to make himself look stupid in any way.
Yeah.
He just wanted to make himself look strong and like
The
Bush.
tough guy. Yeah.
Exactly. And then everyone's like, well, it was apparently too late to cut him.
Right.
So they had to go along with it.
And he was in the whole episode, wasn't
He was in the whole episode. It was
Yeah.
like he was starring Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
So he was in every skit. That was the joke. But like there was the one with Chris Farley, probably the most infamous one. There's one where he beats up a whole bunch of executives for like 15 minutes that no one knows. But the one where he's a father of a girl that Chris Farley's about to go out with to prom or something.
Okay,
And-
the premise is a setup for
Oh my god,
comedy
Steven
genius.
freaking Seagal.
Yeah.
And he's apparently a former assassin for the U.S. government, and Chris Farley's just like it's Chris Farley, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, oh, I go to go out with your daughter, you know, like it's genius.
Yeah.
And then freaking even Rob Schneider, he's there too. And like it's Chris Farley and Steven Seagal. Apparently, the original skit was supposed to go that Steven Seagal acts very goofy and very like dad-like whenever the girl's there, but when a girl leaves, then he turns into Steven Seagal, right? He stays serious the entire time.
Yeah.
Doesn't try to add any like flair to his lines. He's just like, I used to be a government agent, so you're trying to go out with my daughter. and that's it.
Yeah.
Like just and then Chris Farley's like ha ha ha, and he's trying to give like these reactions, but he's giving reactions to lines that never like
Or in the
materialize.
Yeah.
So it's so awkward, and no one's laughing.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing. Chris Farley's there, and no one's freaking laughing.
Yeah.
They're laughing out of confusion. Like,
Right.
am I supposed to laugh here?
Well, the light probably came on that said laugh, you know?
But like it's like little chuckles, and then
Yeah.
like the entire skit, it's painful to get through. But it's like, what on earth, dude?
They probably never invited him on again.
no,
Like they never even
no, they
dreamed of
told
it.
him straight up, you're never coming back again.
Yeah.
Really?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and then they said apparently they had like a skit making fun of him like the next year.
Mm.
But like I was in my head, I'm like, wouldn't it be funny? Because they debated just kicking him off and replacing him with someone like
Anybody else.
Anyone. They had Schwarzenegger there.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically supposed to be like two guys being trained by Schwarzenegger, and they were supposed to beat up Steven Seagal. But Steven Seagal changed it to where, no, I want it to be where I train them how to really fight. And then they're ashamed about themselves.
He can't fight. That's the other thing too. He does that Aikido.
Yeah, Aikido.
That really stupid one where everybody, the people fake flip, you know?
But I'm like, wouldn't it be way funnier if they did all the same Steven Seagal skits, but Steven Seagal's not there?
Yeah.
And they just have to act like he's there.
You're right.
And at the very beginning, they just make a joke like, "Oh, Steven Seagal couldn't be here tonight, so we're just gonna have nothing there."
Yeah.
And like, imagine them having lines with literally dead air. Like that would have been funnier. Like that would actually have been like interesting. But no, it was.
You gotta send me what video you watched on that, or maybe you just watched the episode.
I watched videos about people talking about it. Then I watched the full episode.
Yeah. I don't think I could sit through it because like I can't take that uncomfortable
cringe
comedy. That's the thing.
It's not funny cringe. It's painful cringe.
Exactly. And that comedy cringe is painful cringe to me.
It's entertaining when you think it for 5 seconds when you're thinking about, wow, Steven Seagal actually thinks this is like going to make him look better.
Well, it's an ego thing because like The Rock has the same clause in his contract where he has to be the tough guy. He can't lose. He has, he's got a little bit more personality than Seagal, well, a lot more personality than Seagal. But he has that clause where...
Why isn't Jake Paul fighting Steven Seagal?
I know, right? Oh, that'd be so embarrassing. Hey, but Seagal would show up for a really bad show. They'd wheel him in, and he'd finally get up out of his chair. Have you seen some of his C movies or D movies, whatever you want to call them?
I've never seen a Steven Seagal movie.
But like, you ever watch somebody try to review them? Because those are fun. There's one with there's legit one where all his scenes he's sitting down and he's dressed tough. He's got the arm round. He's got the sunglasses. And he's like, "We're gonna take down all these fools." He's got the tough guy lines, but he never gets up out of the chair. All his scenes, he's like the wise mentor,
right?
And then there's another one where they advertise him fighting Mike Tyson, and it's Mike Tyson's in the movie. He's a bad guy. If you watch the trailer, the trailer's cut to where it looks like they fight each other, but they're only in a scene together for like 10 seconds, and they don't really fight, So it's like it's bad. So anyway. Sorry, that was a weird tangent we went on.
That's what. No.
But reviewers are watching stuff like that, or Bruce Willis is doing the same thing. So Bruce Willis has dementia now, but right before he lost his mind, he was wearing an earpiece. He was being fed his lines, and he was making D movie after D movie after D movie because he wanted money before he lost his mind, which I respect. I
Such
get
a
it.
tragedy.
Yeah, it is a tragedy, but I get it.
Yeah,
it's not like they could feed his lines for Die Hard and stuff like that.
Exactly.
But for the D movies, they're so poorly filmed. You can see the earpiece in a lot of his scenes, So, but that's what people are covering kind of now, at least in my circle.
I think that was a Kevin Spacey movie that came out recently, where it was a D movie.
Yeah, he's trying to get back in,
and that was his comeback, quote unquote. But
right. I mean, he's got to start somewhere. Like, I think eventually he's going to be back to where he was.
So.
I think so, dude. Hollywood covers up that type of crime.
Yeah.
Child abuse.
I guess.
It does.
But...
It's straight up. Like The Flash. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the movie a lot. No one else did.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And, I mean, Ezra Miller, like...
Yeah, what's he doing?
Nothing now, but they were still like, oh, he's committed to help. He's committed to therapy. He's committed to getting better. Because they cover that stuff up. And he did some horrible things with children, with moms, with random citizens, like, and they tried to cover it up, and he's still the Flash. He's committed to getting help, all that stuff. And They do that with everybody in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And because all the higher ups are doing it too. And if they kick down one person, that person's going to sing about the Diddy party they attended. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean, Hollywood's just a whole nother beast.
Yeah.
So,
Fair.
yeah. Anyway,
Sony.
Sydney Sweeney, all the good stuff, right? Okay. I saw Kraven the Hunter.
Good for you.
I think it was the best one out of all the Sony films by default.
By default?
By default, it was the best one.
Like even better than Venom?
Oh, yeah. I hated all 3 Venoms.
Okay. You mean subjectively?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So not objectively.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
No. Well, no. I mean, I think I'm right objectively.
Because, I mean, numbers don't lie for Venom versus Kraven. But.
Oh, you're talking about sales?
That and popularity. Like, I don't know many people who hated Venom besides you. So, like, you're probably the only person I know.
Well, it's been a tongue-in-cheek. Like, nobody thinks the Venom films are good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I guess not.
Yeah, they still went in. There was enough for them to go. The first one made a lot of money because superheroes were pretty much making a lot of money back then. The second one had Carnage, which everyone wanted to see. And it also tied into the MCU.
Yeah.
Right, so that also made a decent amount of money. The third one actually didn't make as much money because people didn't care anymore by that point. Superhero movies are dying down in popularity, and it's Venom. Like none of them are good. They're not good movies.
Okay,
you know?
so you say it's the best one.
Yeah.
Most entertaining or just best?
I would say best because there were like the first 8 minutes we watched. You know when Craven's running into.
Was it cut up like I said it was, or was
there were not cut up, but
Really?
there were just 2 pieces missing. There's a part missing in the 8 minutes where when he gets on the plane and he's talking to the pilot and he talks to the pilot for a bit. They cut that out, but for the most part, it was pretty intact. It was very as choppy as the 8-minute was. That's how it was in the movie. Like it was very choppy.
That was the only good 8 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. No, I think the final fight was great.
Okay. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. No. Oh man.
I wish I could have seen it.
Dude, Russell Crowe actually was giving his all. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. He was. I mean. He was having fun.
Let's think about this now.
Yeah.
He hasn't given his all since Gladiator.
Right. Hey, he tried in Noah. Now, nobody liked Noah.
He tried in Noah?
Yeah. Yeah. He was trying to play Noah very well. Okay. I know nobody liked Noah, but
I think he was trying in Les Mis. That's Russell trying, bro.
Okay. Dang it. I knew. I wanted a camera to describe this scene to you.
Okay.
Russell Crowe is not in shape anymore. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Like he's fat.
Yes.
I'm just going to say it. And look, I'm not fat shaming. I'm fat, right? So I get it. But there's a scene where he's talking to young Kraven and he says, "One day you will be a man like me." And then there's a part where he walks away from Kraven. He goes through a doorway and then he turns to the side and he says, "One day you will be a man like me." And it's like the worst shot ever where his stomach is hanging over his belt. And he's like, "One day you'll be strong like me." And he's like fat. He's like round like a blueberry. And I was like, I laughed because it was supposed to be such a serious scene where he's like, "You'll be like me one day." He's like the main villain or one of them.
Okay.
And he's not intimidating. He looks like you could push him over and he can't get back up. You know? So it was I laughed really hard because like it was supposed to be such an intense scene, but he's so out of shape to where I couldn't take it seriously, you know. So let's see.
Not like the fat Viking kind of look. No, just out of shape.
Just
dad,
out of shape.
okay.
Dad, yes, because he's got the vest on.
Oh, okay.
He looks like a dad, right? The CGI was really bad in a lot of parts. Anytime he fights an animal, it didn't look real. Let's see.
Was the gore fat? Was the gore good? Because that was the big selling
It was gory.
Point, right?
It was gory. Yeah. Trying to think. Did any of the action scenes get me going? I don't think so. As far as the action goes, yeah, the first 8 minutes were probably the best part, except for the final fight. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
They tried to have fun with this one.
Okay.
My problem with the Venom movies is they take themselves so seriously. The first Venom thinks it's a good movie. They thinks it's serious. It thinks it's dark. It thinks it has a message to say. This one, they were like, we're putting the Chameleon in there. We're putting Rhino in there. They were trying to reference other Spider-Man villains. They were dancing around Spider-Man being in it, even though obviously he's not in it, and it has nothing to do with Spider-Man. But they tried to do a weird scene where they establish that Kraven's afraid of spiders, and then there's like he gets shot with a tranquil gun that makes him hallucinate. So then he starts seeing spiders. Supposed to be a Spider-Man reference, but obviously like nobody connects the dots. Nobody cares.
Right.
And then they kept for some reason they kept teasing Rhino. So Rhino's the main villain, and that
is so baffling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's not Rhino from the comics where he's just a thug wearing a rhino suit. It's a guy who can turn into a rhino. But it's so funny because like there's a scene where the rhino, he's not Rhino, he's a guy.
Yeah.
And he has to have serum connected to him, like a feeding tube.
Like Bane?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it keeps him from turning into Rhino, so he's human.
Oh, okay.
And he's facing down these Russian thugs, and they start talking mad trash to him. And he's like, "Do you want to know why they call me Rhino?"
No,
and I was like, "I do." I was like, "Bro, let's see it. This is why I'm here. I want to see how stupid he look." And so he pulls out the tube, and he's like, "Oh," and he starts like the gray scales start coming on. And he's like, and everyone starts freaking out. Oh, we're sorry, Rhino. He's like, "That's what I thought." And he puts the tube back in.
Come on, he doesn't even go full.
I know.
Tease.
Yeah, they teased. I was like, "Oh," and me and everyone else were like, "Oh, boo."
He turned gray.
Yeah.
God, no.
Yep. And it was my same problem with. Again, Russell Crowe. It was my same problem with Russell Crowe in the Mummy movie because he played Dr. Jekyll, and instead of subtly teasing,
you don't know why they call me.
Yeah, do you want to know why I hide? But so they always teased him turning into Mr. Hyde. But no, then at some point he turns into Mr. Hyde, but they just paint Russell Crowe gray, and it's like boo, like his design looks so lame. But in this one, it was the same thing. Like, you tease, boo! I want to see some Rhino.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I like the idea of doing something. Rhino should never be the main villain.
I know.
He was not designed to be that in any capacity.
No, because like even in Amazing Spider-Man, he was just a guy in a robot suit. He wasn't like a mastermind. He was
I think that's what he is, right? Like he's never been.
He's just a thug.
Rhino.
It's just like there's Spider-Man, and then back when was Spider-Man created? The 60s, 50s. Yeah, in the 60s when Spider-Man is like, oh, Spider-Man's a stupid name. How about there's a rhino and he's dressed like a rhino, and so like he was never meant to be a main villain, a mastermind.
Okay, I just thought of this. I was like, yeah, why don't we just make Man-Bat the main villain in the next Batman movie? But that actually would be kind of sick.
Oh, Man-Bat's freaky. I would love that. Yeah,
that you can make like a horror film out of. That's really cool.
No, he was good in Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Because like the jump scares, and then like you travel around the lab, and you're like, oh, what happened here? And it's like, oh, I'm trying out this new serum that turns me into a bat. So that was cool. It was like a Wolfman except the Batman. Bat.
Maybe Batman has that market cornered because, like, I think a lot of those animal-like villains could work. Like Killer Croc's one of my favorites. So I'm
terrifying.
Like, I think those could work, but freaking rhinos. Yeah, the rhino,
bro. I can't not see
Spider-Man. Okay, Spider-Man. He jumps up like a few stories. What's Rhino gonna do?
Run straight into a building. Let's see. Is Rhino in any of the games? He's in Spider-Man 2.
The original Spider-Man 2. He's in that. He's the first boss.
Yep.
You beat him up almost immediately.
Yep. I was surprised he was in it.
Yeah. I don't think he's in the newer ones.
And he's not in the Ultimate Spider-Man where he plays Venom, right? He's not in that one.
I don't think so.
Because that had a fun chasing game where like you're chasing Green Goblin through the streets, or you're chasing Electro, like stuff like that. Those are cool.
Yeah.
They have those chase sequences. Rhino would be a great chase sequence where he's running away with money bags and you're chasing him.
I just think all the animal-based villains in Spider-Man are always kind of silly. Like Scorpion is cool, but like I think he's still silly.
He wasn't cool in the 60s.
Chameleon's silly. They're all very silly characters.
Absolutely. But they're all plays on, they're Spider-Man, so
Vulture,
how about Rhino?
Vulture's always been a joke, except for Michael Keaton's Vulture. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I think something like that.
Yeah.
But that's such a stupid concept. Sorry, just
no, and I agree, but that was the point in the 60s when you make these comics. Like, Rhino's not supposed to be a serious villain. He's like a dumb guy thug, like the meme of the old cartoon where he's like, like that. It's ridiculous. So to try to make him the main villain, have him turn into an actual rhino, is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I saw Facebook pages dedicated to hating on haters.
Yes.
So, like, there was a guy trying to defend Rhino in Craven. He says, well, people hated Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man because he looked like a robot. And I was like, but that was in the comics. I was like, no, that's not in the comics. He didn't look like that. He didn't look like a robotic Rhino.
He's not a Transformer.
That ran on all fours.
Yeah.
In the Ultimate Universe, which is what it was inspired off of, it's still the Rhino that can stand straight up.
Yeah.
But it's a robotic Rhino suit. So no, that's not true. They didn't go off the Ultimate. They tried to make the Ultimate look better, but it looks stupid.
Yeah.
And then in Craven, they tried to go with the classic look where he's wearing the pants, he's standing straight up, and he looks like, but it wasn't a Rhino suit. It was a skin condition where he turned into a Rhino, so. Yeah, and so the guy's like, God, there's just no pleasing fans. I was like, no, there's no good, accurate adaptation of Rhino.
Because he's never meant to be the spotlight.
Right.
Like, he's always been a joke.
You could make it where he's a side villain, know, but it would work in the MCU because they care about costume design.
You know how like in Tom Holland's Spider-Man, how like the Shocker was like a joke character they kind of just threw away? Like, that's the Rhino. You know, like that's what people love to see him for 5 seconds, but like he's not going to carry a film.
Yeah, you could have it where, like, you're the Rhino. Here's your suit. I'm not wearing that. It looks stupid. But you put it on. You have super strength. You're the Rhino. I'm the boss. And so, yeah, that's the scene. You don't. He's not the main villain.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So yeah, Craven semi took itself seriously, but also semi not. Okay. So they were like, let's have fun. Like they tried to pull in Spider-Man villains. They brought in obscure villain characters, obscure henchmen that would have worked for Kingpin in the MCU, but in this, it's not. And then they tried to put Chameleon in there. Of course, Chameleon looks terrible. He's CGI, but I was like, look, they're trying. A lot of the action scenes look ridiculous, where he's climbing up a tree. They just sped it up, so it just looks ridiculous. And then let me think. I don't know. I liked it better than Venom because, like I said, Venom thought it was like, oh man, like they thought this is such a serious movie. And then Madam Web, oh my gosh, like I don't know what that was doing. That was like a fan film.
I love I need to actually fully see Madam Web, but I always hear it's boring. Like
very boring.
It's not even like entertaining.
No, it's entertaining. I'd say.
Really?
Yeah, if you're with the right people, if you're gonna watch it yourself, you're not gonna have fun.
Yeah.
But. No, absolutely. Like, watch it with a group of people, especially me. You're gonna have fun.
Jeez Louise.
So I don't know. So Craven, on the realistic movie scale, it's like a 5.
Okay.
It could be a 4.5. Like, it's bad. It leans on bad, but at best it's mid.
Well, as long as you're entertained, who cares, right?
Yeah. But on the Morbius scale, like I give it a 8 out of 10.
The Morb meter.
Yeah, the Morb meter. I give it an 8 out of 10. Because it's still not as good as Morbius, which is a 10 out of 10.
Do you think because like this is the last one of the right? So
it flopped, right?
Yeah, it flopped. But this is the last one they're making of this universe. They're gonna try to do something different, right?
They're gonna. What I read was they're gonna focus on Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland. Which is going to be Disney. It's not going to be Sony. Because, like, when you let Sony try to take their toys and make their own stuff, they make garbage. Like, they
don't read the instruction manual.
Right. So, yeah, all that's done.
Okay, so I feel like X-Men had the same exact problem where, like, they were the last 2 movies of the X-Men universe, like, they were just slogging along to the end. Like they weren't actually like trying a whole lot. They were just like actors were just cashing their check and that's it. Do you feel like that was worse than the Sony decline? Like this current Sony Spider-Man villain decline? Like which one felt worse?
Sony.
Well, no, they're both Sony, but like which one?
No, X-Men. X-Men's Fox.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sony you think is worse?
And the reason the last few Fox movies were bad were because they had the movies were made, but they had been bought out by Disney in 2017. But the problem is they were bought out in 2017. They still had like 3 movies to come out. And they came out after Disney bought them and were going to reboot it. With the exception of Hugh Jackman. So, which they were talking about incorporating from then till now. And Deadpool. They kept Deadpool as is. But But yes, they it's different, but the X-Men had a reason for falling off. It's because they were going to be dead. Like they were not going to continue them after Disney bought them out. Disney was going to reboot it. So
years and years and years later,
right? But they're making progress. Like Deadpool was step one. You know, like I guess technically She-Hulk step one, but because they had mutants in it, technically. So yeah, but Deadpool's their first real step into the.
So
X-Men.
Sony, you think, is way worse because
So much worse, dude. Because here's the thing. All the way back to Amazing Spider-Man 2, 10 years ago, they were like, oh, Marvel's making a cinematic universe. We can do the same thing with just Spider-Man. We can make Spider-Man fight the Sinister Six. We can make it Avenger style. So from day one, they were like, we're just going to copy Marvel.
Yeah.
Fail. It failed. It failed so bad that before Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, Disney was already trying to negotiate to do a Tom Holland thing.
Yeah.
And Sony said, nope, we're going to truck along with our universe and everyone's going to buy tickets and we're going to steal business from you, essentially, or everyone's going to buy tickets to this. That's what they thought.
And then they put the Rhino in it.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out and it bombed so bad that they called Disney and said, never mind. we agree. This could be great story-wise.
We thought that the whole time.
Yeah, right. And that weird, I think it was North Korea that hacked Sony and leaked all that when it leaked the emails between Disney and Sony where they were like, no, we're going to do our own universe. And yeah, we'll be fine. Turns out they didn't do fine. So they loaned Tom Holland out, the Spider-Man IP to MCU. Yeah. And it does great. And for some reason, and you remember after Far From Home came out, Sony was like, we're taking Spider-Man back.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
It was like 2 weeks of...
Yep. I was like, what are they going to do with it? You know?
What are they going to do with it?
And I was mad. I was pooping at the time when I read the news, and I was like, and I actually pooped a lot easier.
I think Disney did something kind of sneaky that time too.
Sure.
I think they were I think they literally were like, no, there's no way they're going to take him back. And that's when Sony was like, oh yeah, we still can. So it was like,
yep.
That was nerve wracking.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And Venom came out and it did really good, but it was in between. Venom's already a popular character.
Yeah.
Actually, outside of Spider-Man, Venom was probably
no one knew
what
it was going to be, so of course it put people in the seats.
And a lot of people came and saw it, so it made a lot of money. So Sony thought, oh, we're back. We can start pulling strings again. If we have to, we can take Spider-Man back and screw MCU.
Right.
So Venom did so good that they thought they were going to be able to do Madam Web, Kraven, Venom trilogy. They were like, we're good. Morbius, like we can do what we want again. We finally got our stride. You know, Into the Spider-Verse came out, and again, Sony just thought they had balls. You know, like we're good. And Morbius came out, flopped so bad, and then they still made Madam Web for some reason. And that came out, and it wasn't just review bombed. It was memed to heck and back. It bombed. They lost money. Everyone made fun of them. And so then Craven's on its way out. The director says, guys, give it a chance. It's not Madam Web. And then they release the first 8 minutes of the trailer. Like, they're begging people to come watch it. And then Kraven comes out. It also flops. And Venom 3 comes out. And it doesn't make as much money as the first two. So, okay. Now I think Disney's in a place again where it holds all the cards for Sony. I mean, Sony has... I don't know what they're doing. What are they doing wrong? I don't know what they're doing wrong. Is it they're just making bad movies? Or was Morbius and Madam Web and Kraven just a bad idea from the start? Just what do you think,
I don't know, because they have good, talented writers. I mean, look at Spider-Verse. I mean, people argue that Spider-Verse is way better than anything that Disney did with Spider-Man. So it's like they have writers in their pocket. It's just, I don't know, maybe they just live action, like they just don't know how to incorporate it, or I don't know. I feel like if these films were animated, they probably would do better. Like it's kind of a weird thing to think of, but like honestly, like they already act like cartoons anyway. So it's like
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out, obviously the movies are bad, but I'm wondering if from the beginning, was this just not going to work? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it was a very bold choice to do villain stories, that especially villains who like no one's really heard of, who are like who are average moviegoers. Every freaking person knows who Spider-Man is. Yeah. Batman. And Iron Man.
Venom. Like
Venom too. Yeah. Like everyone knows who those characters are. But to pick these random characters, you're already losing probably like half your fan base because like half the people are just regular moviegoers, right? And then the other people were like, "Oh, I'm just going to see any movie that's related to Marvel ever." Then
Yeah.
you start seeing like Spider-Man's not going to be in. I'm out. So then
Yeah.
you have like a quarter of that. So it's like you have to have like a super dedicated fan base. But if you're not going to do anything that's, unfortunately, if you don't do it something that's like acceptable to the comic books, like then those people are out too. It's like you have a very, very small fan base, I think, that are willing to like give this franchise a chance.
Yeah.
And then it feels like there's no direction because all the films are totally different from each other. It doesn't feel like they're the same, you know. It feels like they're completely shattered.
They tried to connect them at the beginning with Morbius. So like I described to you that end credit scene, and you watched it where they try to bring Vulture in.
Yep.
He's going to team up with Morbius. So I think at some point they were going to have Kraven team up with them. I think they were trying to set up the Sinister Six again. So they didn't learn their lesson the first time with Andrew Garfield. They were going to try to do it again, but they were trying to go slow this time. They were like, let's do a Morbius movie. Let's do a Kraven movie. I don't know where the heck Madam Web was supposed to go because it has nothing to do with any of that.
Yep.
But I guess they were trying to copy Disney again. Like, well, we'll have Venom be the Iron Man of this universe, and then Morbius will be Thor. You know, like we'll just go like that. And it just, I don't know. Obviously, the movies are bad.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what aspect of it is the part where it's just not connecting with people? Like, and you say like there's no Spider-Man in it. I think that's a big part of it.
Oh yeah.
I think another part of it was they just never established what Spider-Man they were going to go up against. You know what would have helped sales? One of those end credit scene is Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire's reading the Daily Bugle and he sees, vampire attacks, connects to Morbius. That would have brought people to maybe not as many to save the whole dying universe.
Or Andrew Garfield. I think I think he has the personality charisma to hold the franchise.
Yeah.
But that's actually kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
If they do the reverse, where they build up all the villains and the antagonist of this big Avengers film is the hero.
Yeah.
Like, that's a cool idea. Dang, is that hard to pull off?
But I think that if they establish what Spider-Man they would have gone up against, imagine Morbius.
Instead of the Thanos scenes, it's Andrew Garfield being
yes,
like,
yes.
You know, like,
right. Yep.
That's crazy. No, that's actually a really cool, but like, that's never going to happen.
Like Morbius is reading the Daily Bugle and he's like, you know, instead of Vulture coming in, he's like, there's a Spider-Man. You know, it's like,
and then Kraven's like, I hate spiders.
I wonder how spider blood tastes. Dun dun dun. Cut to black. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would have been. I think that would have been okay. Yeah. And there was clearly no. I won't say clearly. I don't think they knew where they were going quite yet. They didn't map it out. But having nothing. Like, why is Vulture here? What are they teaming up against? Oh, we hate Spider. Like, they brought up Spider-Man. Like, I think there's something to do with Spider-Man.
I'm listening.
They should have told you what Spider-Man it was.
Right.
I don't think they knew.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Andrew Garfield. Oh man, but I think more people would have turned out for Morbius, and I think people would have showed up to Venom 3 and been like, okay, what is this leading? I think that would have drummed up some hype.
Oh, yeah.
Not as much as they thought. I guess they kept thinking they were gonna make $1 billion like Disney, but I don't know.
To their credit, superheroes do sell, but what they're doing, you remember where, like, before the MCU, what superheroes films used to be? Trash. Almost all of them were just garbage, hot garbage for kids, basically.
Like, for every decent one, you got 10 ripoffs.
There was like Steel, you know, and like there was like the old like Captain America one. You know, it's like all these really bad ones.
Right.
It's kind of like reverting to that almost, and like Daredevil, the old Daredevil. That's kind of what it feels like the new Sony ones are like. That same level of energy. But at least those are memorable.
Well, yeah, I mean, Spider-Man 1 comes out. Then there was like, oh, well, let's just do Daredevil. Like, we could do the same thing they did with Spider-Man with Daredevil. And then they spun off of Daredevil with Electro. Like, it's just like, and now we're back to, like you said, the 90s, the 80s, you know, with these terrible superhero films. You know, each spinoff was making it worse.
Yeah.
Then you got Blade. Blade came out. I wouldn't say Blade was like, it was really good, but
cult following more like.
But it didn't, like, you know, when Blade came out, it didn't spawn like, oh, you know, Daredevil's pulling inspiration from Blade.
I think because it was the R rating probably held it back.
For sure.
Which is fine, but like just back then that meant death, you know, because it's like you're not going to go anywhere, you're not going to be mainstream
unless you want to go see a horror movie.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But it was trying to be.
But it wasn't like Deadpool, you know.
Right.
Like Deadpool right now, everyone's going to go see that, regardless of age.
Well, nowadays R rating doesn't mean as much because they try to make Craven rated R and this will get people to come in. No, it doesn't. It's like celebrity endorsements of presidential candidates. Doesn't bring in people as much as you think.
Exactly.
The R rating's not going to bring more people or less people in. That's what killed. what's that? Expendables 3. They were like, oh, it's rated R. Less people are going to see it. Let's make it PG-13. And now it didn't do anything, you know, for sales. So the rating doesn't matter unless it's rated X or triple X. Then of course, obviously, it's gonna be limited on who goes.
Right.
And you wouldn't want to be caught in a theater for a triple X film.
I don't even know what theaters would play stuff like that.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, my point is the rating system doesn't have an influence on ticket sales.
Yeah.
I don't think. If the movie's
Back
good,
then,
people are gonna see it.
Back then, it absolutely would.
Because you're right. Like you brought up Terrifier 3 being NC-17. Did that stop anybody from giving it money? No. The people that were going to go see it went to go see it.
Yeah.
So anyway. Yeah. So a big element holding back the Sony Spider-Verse. One, they keep trying to copy Marvel, which just... I don't know why they didn't learn the lesson the first time. They had more momentum going with Andrew Garfield and Amazing Spider-Man. They made more money off of that.
I still, to this day, am surprised that they never spun off a third film. Like, even though I didn't like it, I appreciate it more. Like, I hated Andrew Garfield at that time, but like, it was like me being, I guess, a teenager, being like, oh, he's just another good-looking Peter Parker. I miss Toby because he looked like me. Yeah. He doesn't, but
right. Doesn't like anybody now. Have you seen Band of Brothers?
But now I'm like, I've seen him in other stuff, and Andrew just like, I'm like, yeah, he's got kind of good range, you know, for his acting abilities. Yeah, I think he could do well. You know, he did a really good job with the third Spider-Man film. So I'm just like, I think he could carry it.
He's good with a good script.
Yeah,
I don't think he was bad in Amazing Spider-Man. The script was bad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Probably
and exactly. Like he's good with good writers. Yeah, not having a clear vision. I think just conceptually, Madam Web was never gonna. You make a Madam Web film for $1 million
Do you know how big a turnoff it is when you have to have someone explain, like a friend explain to you what the concept is? Because like I didn't know who Madam Web was at first, but it's like you take someone who has no idea what comic books are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Spider-Man's not in this film, but there are 3 Spider Women and a 4th one that's basically like their space mom.
Yeah.
That can time travel. What? Wow.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying it's a stupid idea in execution. I'm saying like you pitch that to someone who doesn't go to every film, who doesn't see every Spider-Man film or superhero film. It's like, that's a hard freaking sell.
Well, that and like... it's
confusing.
Madam Web does not have her own comic series. You know that? Like, there's no Madam Web #1 anywhere. Right. So how do you take a character that's
with no pre-established canon or anything?
Right. Well, she does, but through Spider-Man comics, not through Madam Web #1 origin story. Like nothing.
And then you make her villain dress up like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
For no reason, literally no reason. So it's like,
well, that's the other thing too. You can tell the people making these don't read comic books because you know the bad guy in Madam Web is not the villain in the comics. He's a good guy.
Really,
Ezekiel Sims. He's not a villain. I wouldn't even say he's an anti-hero. Like he helps Spider-Man. So why is he trying to kill Spider? Like you just know these people don't read comic books.
They just do Wikipedia search.
Yeah.
Here are some names. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, in the first issue, Ezekiel Sims was Spider-Man didn't know who he was, and they fought. And then when they sat down, like, oh, I'm actually a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know that. Same thing. It reminds me of Zack Snyder. Everyone loves to ride Zack Snyder's meat. He does not read comic books. I'm sorry. He doesn't because you watch Justice League, even the Zack Snyder cut. He could have went back and fixed this, right? He didn't. The Aquaman scenes... He doesn't know Aquaman can talk underwater, so he does a thing where Aquaman has to make an air bubble, and they hop in the air bubble and then talk to each other. He does. I mean, and then you watch Aquaman, the guy James Wan. He reads comic books, so he knows they can just talk underwater. They're underwater and they're talking. When the main villain and Aquaman fight each other, they don't have to make an air bubble, hop into it, and be like, "Aha, I can speak now." Like, no, they just talk. You know what I mean? And Zack Snyder, he's like, "Well, this doesn't make sense." If you read a comic, he would know, but he's like, "This doesn't make sense. How can they talk without air?" You know. So
I'm gonna go make Star Wars now.
Exactly. So, yeah. Let's not talk about those. I'm just saying, but you can tell when people don't read comic books.
Yeah.
And the people that made Madam Web, I'm not saying this like, oh, she's a woman, she doesn't know what she's doing. But I'm just being honest. Most women don't read comic books. Like, that's not what they're marketed for.
That's true.
So when you make a woman director, she's directing a bunch of women, but she's not gonna be familiar with the source material. And dang well she didn't read any because you watch the movie, you're like, wow, this is nothing like her appearance in the comics, So it's just like, I don't know. It just, I don't, what am I trying to say here? It's like, there's so many things wrong with what Sony's movies did. You hire people that don't read comics. You make movies off of characters that don't have their comic series. They're side characters. You don't put Spider-Man in it. There's no clear goal. They're not working up toward anything.
I am so, that my heart goes out to those few Sony fans. But hey, you're talking about directors and writers who read comic books. Mm-hmm. You know what? A really good, a really, really talented.
Right. We're almost out of time.
Really
we haven't got to the other
handsome man is doing right now. Just dropped the mother effing Superman trailer. Shadow launch drop.
It wasn't Shadow launch. They told us it was coming out.
I didn't see it. But it was from me.
I'm a nerd. Like, the trailer's coming out Thursday. There's no cameras today. I love Superman.
Me too.
Like, he's my favorite. Like, don't get me wrong.
Not my favorite, but yeah, definitely.
Him and the Hulk are up there for me. But I think if they were to fight, in my brain, Superman's my favorite.
Wow. That's actually really... I did not know that. I thought Hulk was like your all-time favorite.
I mean, he's definitely like... If you bought me a Hulk shirt or a Superman shirt, I might say Hulk because he looks cooler.
Sure.
But I think Superman is just like... He just brings me hope. He makes me happy. I know...
That's what I got from this trailer.
When I was a kid, I don't mean to make it like a down thing. Like, I had a hard childhood growing up. I would have loved a Superman to come save me. You know what I mean? From... what I went through as a kid. I would have loved a Superman to come in and pick me up and make me feel safe.
You know, it's funny you say that because this week was really, really rough for me. So I don't mean to like, obviously, yours was worse, but like,
we'll get back to happy stuff.
My week was like really freaking rough, and this trailer hit, and I watched it, and the music when it hit, I felt that all go away. I was just like, this is what he was originally meant for, the hope, the inspiration you're talking about. Like, because like with Marvel, it's a whole bunch of, and people have described it before, where like Marvel, it's characters who are like, they're getting towards something, they're working towards something, like they have to become that role model. They start out like in the gutter, at the rock bottom. With DC superheroes, usually they're already there and they're supposed to be the role models like from the very beginning, like, and working in a world with us. So like, to see Superman, knowing what character he is, I love seeing evil Superman, but like the chipper, like I think the world is rough, it's scarred, but I'm going to defend it no matter what. Like I'm going to stand up for the little guy no matter what. Like for what's right, for justice. I'm like, that's great. It hits differently, dude.
I agree.
And I'm like, I saw this trailer and I was almost brought to tears.
I teared up, dude. I was like,
so beautiful.
I love the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Not all of them, obviously, but the first two, man, like, they just make you feel like a little kid. And then Shazam also kind of brought on a similar feeling for me, but he's not Superman. But I love the idea. He was as close to Superman as we were going to get in Zack Snyder's universe.
But gosh, dude, the look, the tone. I'm like, if this is going to be the new DCU, dude, it's colorful. It has its own kind of darker adult tone almost. But like James
Gunn reads comic books.
He does.
Like he went on Twitter. Everyone was hating on him because they're like, "Oh, we want Henry Cavill." And I love Henry Cavill, but he's not Superman. I'm sorry. I love him. He's great.
He's like my favorite celebrities.
Yeah, but he's not Superman. At least not from what the character should be. From I know everybody says he's not from the comics. Like a lot of people that say that don't read comics, but the Superman comics I have read. I haven't read everything. But the ones I've read that are essential to the character that really define who Superman is, Henry Cavill is not it. I'm sorry. But this trailer was like, this is it. So James Gunn, he got on Twitter and he said, hey, what are your favorite Superman stories you think I should read to where it could influence the movie? And I mean, I'm sorry, that trailer, you saw it, that's like All-Star Superman. I don't know if you've read All-Star, but it's so good. And I told my wife, I was like, you're going to have to read that. I'm sorry. And we're going to have to watch the Christopher Reeve ones so you can understand why I love him so much.
What I also loved in one of the interviews he did, he basically said, because the guy was like, oh, so like, I heard you didn't want to do Superman at first. He's like, yeah, because like I didn't think I could do it justice. And to this point, I'm like, I don't think I can do it justice until really after I finished the script. I was like, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, so he's taking it seriously.
Yes.
Like he understands the validity and the actual scale that Superman has. Yeah. How it's not just a throwaway movie. Nope. He's like going to actually take this seriously. And then see I was surprised to see how many characters there were.
Yep.
Lex Luthor, amazing choice. Apparently he tried to get Superman, but now he's Lex Luthor. He
Nicholas
auditioned
Hoult.
to be
Nice.
Superman. Great. I love it. Kind of had not
I just wish he wasn't so young looking. But I'm going off the cartoon where it's a middle-aged man. He's very
I think
eloquent.
his look is more adult. Like, I'm sorry, his face is more like I mean, he makes that like squinty like.
Yeah.
I think he can make himself look more adult. But yeah, he kind of does look a little younger. But I don't know. It's going to be different.
Yes.
Definitely. Green Lantern's in it.
Yeah.
Hawk Girl's in it.
Mm-hmm.
I love Hawk Girl.
It's Guy Gardner. So a lot of people are trolling. Who's playing the Green Lantern? I forget his name.
I don't know.
He's okay. Hold on. Angry Joe said his name before. Let's see. He was complaining about the VGX actually, ironically, and he said Will Wheaton, but it's not Will Wheaton, and he listed one more guy. Well, shoot, look it up real quick. Sorry, who's playing Guy Gardner? That's the Green Lantern.
Nathan Fillion.
Thank you, Nathan Fillion. Okay,
He's probably not going to stay Green Lantern.
no,
But, yeah.
because you have to do the
Hal Jordan.
Hal Jordan. Thank
Oh
you.
wait,
Or John Stewart.
John Stewart.
Yeah,
Which
like
I actually like John Stewart.
Oh yeah, from the cartoon and on, right?
Yeah.
Or Injustice 2. But yeah. So his haircut looks ridiculous, but that's how he looks in the comics.
But no, that's what I like. It's comic book.
Yes.
You know, it feels like that. The
Yeah.
look he gives, like I'm like
Exactly.
freaking loved it. Dude.
I did. And it's going to have a bunch of obscure characters. Crypto, obviously everyone was clowning on the Crypto look. That scene, the part that made me teared up was when the kid in the whatever country they're in, he pulls up the flag and he goes
Superman?
He's like Superman.
I know what you're. I know. Yeah.
And I was like,
saying.
the prime kid, like, save me. Like, I'm in a spot I can't control. I'm just a child. But Superman will save that kid. He's going to.
Yeah.
Like, that's his thing.
Just that
you know?
music is so.
He protects life. And it's not Zack Snyder's.
We're done with the freaking dark, like, oh, this is a real life Superman. It's like, no, this is supposed to be something that like is a step beyond that, like
Yes.
something that we don't have,
Exactly.
It's an escape.
Yes. An escape. Yeah, Superman's supposed to be like, you want to have superpowers. You want to fly.
You want to stand
have
up
super
for what's
strength.
right.
Yes,
I
right.
love that about. So All-Star, you're right. I think it is all.
It's going to be All-Star. Yeah.
I mean, people are saying Brainiac might be in it. I know with that weird sphere thing, it kind of very much looks Brainiac-esque, but I'm fine if it's just Lex, honestly.
Yep.
Like,
And
we'll see.
James Gunn's feeling the pressure. He's interviewing. He's like, if this fails, like, we can't just keep making movies, So like, I want this to be good.
Dude.
Of course, he wants it to make money, but he's not. He there's pressure. He wants to please fans.
I'm so sold. I want it to be now.
Yeah, I do. I want it to be July already. So, well, we should go see it then.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I watched it like 8 times on the way up here. Like, I was just to hear the music. You know what I mean?
Like it. And it's halfway between the classic and something a little bit more new. I'm like, love it.
I do hope it has its own theme though. I don't want it to be just John Williams' theme because I love it. It's a great song and I listen to it when I work out. But I obviously don't work out that much. But I also want it to have its own thing. I want it to have its own music. I don't want it to just rely on other stuff. I don't need CGI Christopher Reeve showing up.
Russell Crowe listens to that when he works.
Probably Russell Crowe's gonna be in it.
No.
Yeah.
James goes like, get out.
Yeah.
And Russell's like, please.
Yeah, please. I need this.
I need to be.
So
no, I'm so. You know what's interesting? When Superman goes public domain?
Is that next year?
2034.
Oh, really?
They got 10 years, and that means everyone else is going to follow alongside. Now they could probably pull some strings to get that extended, but like. Then it's going to be Batman. It's going to be Iron Man. It's all these superheroes from the golden age of comics.
Oh, yeah.
Their time's running out. So like this could very much be like the last pinnacle of like cinematic Superman, before all the rejects, all the copycats come out,
Right.
I don't know if everyone else is thinking about that, but I'm thinking about that. Like this is James Gunn's like the last guy to make this like official Superman, And I just love how I think people have forgotten how special Superman as a character is.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why. This is one of the reasons. Superman's always gotten flack for being too strong, no weaknesses. And what made it worse, what made that solidified in people's brains was Man of Steel. Because he made him boring. He made him like, oh, he's unrelatable because he's Jesus. Like, it didn't help. There was always that stigma around Superman, but Man of Steel made it worse. Okay. He made a movie that wasn't relatable. It also made no sense, like all that stuff. So, the movies that did do that, unfortunately, were in the 70s. And now, just because of, kids nowadays, like, oh, that looks fake. Oh, I can't, it's boring. I can't watch. Like, so those movies, as great as they are, Superman 1 and 2 with Christopher Reeves and John Williams and whoever directed, I forget his name, those don't resonate with kids nowadays. Yeah. So I want a Superman movie that's modern, that's going to resonate with audiences, and just make Superman cool again with the kids. Yeah. I don't think Batman should be everyone's go-to number one superhero. I think it should be Superman, the OG, the one that started it, the one that launched superhero comics. Like I want Superman to be at the forefront of everyone's minds in a positive way. Yeah, and this is their last chance. Otherwise, it's Batman forever. And I don't mean Batman 3 forever.
But this is interesting because like Marvel, they're kind of at a weak spot right now. So like DC swooping in with this with James freaking Gunn.
Oh yeah.
They could very well own the comic books franchise for the next 10 years if they're smart about it. Yep. If they keep him on board, they go with his ideas. I trust him more than I trusted anyone they've ever put at the helm. So
I agree. All those no-name people, or I know Jeff Johns, but
right.
So. All right. Anything else on that? Because I think Superman's going to, one, knock it out of the park, and two, just make me feel like a kid, make me feel safe. I think it's going to, I know I don't mean this as a joke. I just think I'm going to take this Superman and hopefully put him into my childhood and be like, oh, I'm safe, So it might clear up some trauma. So anyway, I think that's it, guys.
Yeah, it's hopeful.
This is our last recording before the year's up. This will come out next year. For sure, but we're shooting this in late December, so we'll be enjoying it. So hope you guys like it. Happy New Year. We'll see y'all next time. So peace out.
Have a good one.